welcome. I'm Ijoma Honyaso. Tonight, ECOWAS health ministers meet in Abuja as acting president expresses concern about the fresh outbreak of Ebola in DR Congo. Registration process of 5 new political parties ends with INEC issuing certificates recognizing them. It's the Day of the African Child as world bodies demand more protection of children's rights. And in London, the Queen visits victims of the Tower Block fire tragedy in hospital.
On business news tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission seeks prosecuting powers from the National Assembly to tackle criminal activities in the capital market. While on sports news, President of the Nigeria Handball Federation, Samuel Ocheho, promises accelerated development in the game before the end of his tenure. The Supreme Court is set to hear the appeal before it by the Edo governorship candidate, Osage Ize Eyamu, seeking to upturn the election of Governor Godwin Obaseki.
The acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, today declared open the 18th ordinary meeting of the ECOWAS Assembly of Health Ministers. The event, holding at the ECOWAS Secretariat in Abuja, had in attendance health ministers of ECOWAS states and the Director General of the West Africa Health Organization. The ministers are urging member states to develop local capacity for vaccines production. The West African region has suffered a series of diseases and outbreaks in recent times, including the Ebola outbreak that claimed dozens of lives.
Between 2014, when the Ebola epidemic ravaged some countries within the West African region, and now, several members of the ECOWAS community have suffered other disease outbreaks, including cholera, diarrhea and meningitis. This meeting of the ECOWAS health ministers in Abuja aims to strengthen regional approach to combating disease outbreaks. First, the Vice President of the ECOWAS Commission explains the reason why member states need to think of a more appropriate strategy for disease control in the region.
Diseases such as meningitis, cholera, measles, malaria, and more specifically, the different epidemic outbreaks between 2015 to date reinforce our belief that effective regional multi-sectoral strategies need to be urgently developed and implemented in order to promote the health of our citizens.
Speaking on the strategies to be adopted by member states, Nigeria's Minister of Health called on members to strengthen local capacity for vaccines production.
On the management of disease outbreak within the region, the Ebola epidemic has reinforced what we already know, that our health and well-being as neighbors are intertwined. We need to develop plans for the local production of medicines for sustainability and our survival.
In his keynote address, Nigeria's acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, expresses concern on the recent outbreak of Ebola virus in the DR Congo, while urging member states to curtail its spread.
While the recent outbreak of the Ebola virus disease in the DRC raises concerns, the West African region must actively take steps to be prepared by establishing preventive measures to avoid its spread to the West African sub-region.
The ECOWAS region has a population of over 355 million people, and with a policy that encourages free movement of people across member states, experts here argue strongly on the need for a regional effort to combat diseases outbreak.
And after that meeting, the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, also met with leaders of the various regions in the country, and the latest was the meeting with the federal lawmakers from the northeast. The meeting was held behind closed doors and lasted for about 3 hours. After that meeting, the lawmakers told State House correspondents that the acting president gave them the assurance that there are efforts by the government to address the food crisis in the region.
One of the things some of our members were complaining was that these relief materials that have been sent to the states have not reached some of the areas within the state. of course, these things take time. You cannot, the Northeast is 1/3 of Nigeria, a very vast land. You cannot do everything within a very short period. But they have told us what their plans are for recovery, what their plans are for rehabilitation. They are still working on the recovery. After the recovery, immediately they'll start the rehabilitation. And by the time the rehabilitation goes halfway, definitely everybody will be aware and everybody will be happy.
One critical issue that was discussed by the members is that we are not being carried along to see what government is doing. But with this meeting that we heard is that a government is all encompassing, either in the legislative or in the executive. We all need to come together and see that this issue of the Boko Haram, the insurgency, has come to a close. And the third thing that we discussed is that most of our bridges are being blown up. What is the government doing? But in this budget of 2017, we've kind of put a budget of 45 billion to take care of all those rehabilitation, reconstruction, or rebuilding of those bridges.
And here's a word of advice for politicians as Nigeria's former military head of state, retired General Abdulsalami is suggesting that they should be included in programs that will enhance their forthrightness at the National Defense College. General Abubakar believes that the standard and discipline associated with the National Defense College will have a good influence on the country's political structure. He was a guest speaker at the National Defense College in Abuja. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
It's a gathering of serving military officers, past participants and commandants of the National Defense College. They are here at an event to commence the Silver Jubilee anniversary of the establishment of the National Defense College. Speaking on the role of the college after 25 years in building capacity for defense management, a former head of state and one-time commandant of the National Defense College, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, says the college has effectively contributed to ensuring safety and security of Nigerians. According to him, the time has come for the college to be upgraded to a degree-awarding institution.
It should be the dream of the college and becomes even more pertinent now that the single services of the armed forces of Nigeria have established their war colleges. The National Defense University, if established, would focus solely on strategic matters that feature at the highest echelon of government.
The former head of state said that the challenges of insecurity and violence prevail because politicians do not know the consequences of their actions. He advocates courses for politicians as a way to deal with the menace of insecurity in the country. He was quick to add that it can only happen with more funding for the college.
If our politicians, our NGOs and stakeholders in this country attend short courses in this institute, they will have a better grasp of security and understanding of nation building. So I really advocate that our politicians, our NGOs, our professionals, that is, if the college is going to be funded, to be running short courses for all the stakeholders in this country.
The consensus at this event is that after 25 years, government needs to pay more attention to the college so that it can further benefit from the strategic nature of the institution going forward. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Staying with politics, and ahead of the Supreme Court judgment on the leadership crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, the PDP Governors Forum has reaffirmed its determination to remain with the party. After a meeting of the governors in Abuja, the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State, says they have resolved not to desert the party, irrespective of who wins at the Apex Court. The PDP has in the last 2 years been factionalized, with some of its members pledging allegiance to the current national chairman of the party, Senator Ali Modu Sharif. The rest, with most of the serving governors, belong to Senator Ahmed Makarfi's camp.
Despite our challenges, we're forging ahead, we're putting in our best, and we're hopeful all will end well with the party and our members. Today, the party met to further reaffirm our confidence in the PDP believing that the PDP stay and stand united to win election in 2019. We are hopeful that the outcome of the courts will further unite the party. There will be no winner, there will be no vanquish. We believe in the PDP and we believe in the tomorrow of this party. That is the essence of our deliberation, and we believe that we'll come out stronger than ever before. As individuals, we're still loyal to this party. Whatever statements, whatever position we have taken before this meeting is still our personal decision, personal statements. But look at all the governors standing here. Wherever the party goes, we go.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has issued certificates to 5 new political parties, bringing the total to 45. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who was speaking in Abuja, however, cautioned the new parties to operate according to the laid-down rules or risk deregistration. Professor Mahmoud also asked the political parties to ensure an all-inclusive system of administration.
I think we need to remember that the Commission will extend to you the rights and privileges of registered political parties under the Constitution, the Electoral Act, as well as our regulations and guidelines. Congratulations. At the same time, I wish to remind you that you are no longer political associations, but registered political parties. As you are aware, political parties are at the heart of our democracy. Under the Constitution, no Nigerian can contest an election conducted by INEC unless he or she is sponsored by a political party.
And over 20 first-class traditional rulers and about 30 others in Kogi State are wading into the political disagreement between Governor Yahaya Bello and Senator Dino Melaye. The traditional rulers, at a meeting with government officials in Lokoja, the state capital, have asked the governor to concentrate on governance as the royal fathers are solidly behind him.
With double registration.
Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello and Senator Dino Melaye are not strange people in politics. Before now, both men belong to the same political camp, but it appears things have fallen apart. Supporters of both men recently clashed at an event in Lokoja, leaving 2 people dead. And now, the situation appears to be denigrating further. The traditional rulers from all the local government areas say they are not comfortable with the state of affairs in the state. They believe the malice that is now playing out can affect good governance. The chairman of Kogi State Council of Traditional Rulers, who is also the Ata of Igala, Michael Idakwo, says the crisis may snowball into a full-blown fracas.
Please, let us remain peaceful. It's better to have peace than to have war, because war does not bring any progress. These lives we have lost can never be replaced again. One of them could be the governor of the state, if allowed to live. One of them could be the best scientists that Nigeria would have produced. So we lost them. So please, I implore all of you to please continue to maintain the peace.
The governor could not receive the traditional rulers, but his special advisor on local government and chieftaincy affairs, Mr. Abubakar Ohere, absolves the governor's group of any blame, promising that the government will continue to perform its constitutional duties.
May I use this auspicious occasion to draw your attention to some of the projects the ministry has carried out under my administration within the meager resources available at our disposal, which includes 1, the building of the ministry head office with modern facilities, fully automated ICT center, now harboring the staff of the ministry. It is my pleasure to announce to the traditional rulers that we are going to equip all of you with a set of laptops and printers so that you can be fully connected with the center. The era of traveling from your local community to Lokoja for one issue or the other is gone.
What is playing out here is a clear battle for political supremacy. And if this does not stop, those that may bear the brunt are the electorate who voted the two political gladiators into office.
In part two, after the break, a look at the plight of the African child, who will be joined on the news at 10 by UNICEF education specialist Azuka Menkiti. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.